Welcome back to the Convo Couch, ladies and gentlemen. I am Pasta Jardula.
I'm Fiorella.
And we have a great show for you today.
We do.
Just recently, it went off the air not too long ago. CNN was hosting another Bernie Sanders town hall debate from New Hampshire, fam.
Exactly. And if CNN hadn't already cemented the fact that they are against progressives more than anything else, they did it today.
Yeah.
They were able to cement that they are tools of the corporate establishment and that they are not here to actually help us progress. They're actually here to do whatever their bosses say.
Yep.
And they actually issued a worse kind of betrayal, in my opinion, which is a word they like to use against Bernie, than Fox News. Fox News gave a more fair and unbiased coverage of Bernie.
Yeah.
And we talked about this on the last show than CNN did. And that is ridiculous. It is ridiculous that you call yourself Democrats.
Yeah.
But the leading Democrat right now is being treated like a complete outsider.
Yeah. You can listen to the questions, and you can tell who's doing the town hall debate from just the questions itself. When it comes to Bernie Sanders, it's attack, attack, attack. Main theme when it comes to Bernie Sanders doing a town hall debate is, well, how are you going to pay for that? No mention of the important things a lot of us progressives want to hear about, or independence. I don't think we've heard the word Venezuela in the last two debates. But when they're doing a town hall debate with a person like Kamala Harris, it's just layup after layup after layup after softball. Same thing with Buttigieg. It's nothing really going after his past, the things that progressives are concerned about. CNN will not represent their voice and ask those establishment candidates those questions, fam.
Exactly. And we're going to go through them, right?
Well, we have a couple questions.
Couple of
CNN
them.
has only allowed a couple questions out there right now from tonight's town hall debate. And
Which...
this is kind of fun, fam. We're getting the jump on it. You were saying.
And it was just entirely stacked against him. If you listen to the other candidates later, it's easy softballs that they get.
Yeah.
Bernie gets the whole right off the bat, taxes, socialism, you're rich now. Like, it's the same bullshit that they can only, try to get him on. So
Let's go right to it. Let's roll to the tape. First, check tape, first one. Make sure it's
10
loud enough.
years of your tax returns.
I did.
Let's talk about that topic. We'll start with Ellen Burstein. She's a freshman at Harvard and grew up in Massachusetts. What's your question for the senator?
Senator Sanders, thank you for being here. Your tax returns recently revealed that you are, in fact, a millionaire. How would you respond to concerns that your financial status undermines your authority as someone who has railed against millionaires and billionaires?
Okay, well, that's a good question. And here it is. All right, you ready to have me plead guilty? I plead guilty to have written a book which was an international bestseller, okay? And when you write a book that makes it to the top of the New York Times bestseller list, you make money, and I made money. I suspect that in a couple of years, my salary will go back to $173,000, which is what a member of Congress gets. But I think your question should ask, well, now that you wrote a book, you made money, and is that going to mean that you change your policies? Well, you're looking at somebody who not only voted against Trump's disastrous tax plan, 83% of the benefits going to the top 1%, but I have and will continue in this campaign to fight for progressive taxation. In other words, whether it is Bernie Sanders or your family or anybody else in America, when we have so much income and wealth inequality, when the people on top are doing phenomenally well, if you are doing very, very well in our economy, you should be paying your fair share of taxes. We will raise those taxes for the upper income people. We will do away with the tax loopholes and the tax breaks that large private corporations currently receive. Do you happen to know, anybody here happen to know how much Amazon paid in taxes last year? Zero. All right, owned by the wealthiest guy in America. That is an absurd tax system, a regressive tax system, and if elected president, I will change that tax system.
All right, give it
two
a stop
quick
right there.
follows. One.
Before he
you
does
said
his
you
follow-up, fam, what do you think about that right off the bat? Because it's gonna backfire on them soon, I think, with this question. But we've talked about this all the time, and the fact is that why are so many people concerned? And only a certain group of people are so concerned with seeing his taxes. And was it a surprise, fam, that he was a millionaire?
no, I mean, I think you mean backfire on them, not him.
Well, I mean, it's coming up. I was kind of foreshadowing. It's going to backfire on CNN, not
Right.
on Bernie Sanders.
Right.
But yeah.
Well, this is all they have to go on because to them, Bernie has always been criticizing the fact that, you know, these people have money and he's not really for billionaires. He's not really for this wealth disparity. So the only thing they have against him is, oh, now he's rich. So this is something that the right usually uses, like, oh, he's a socialist, blah, blah, blah. And they have been using it. But for Democrats to come against Bernie, the front runner, who is obviously not a millionaire. I mean, he came in at $556,000 or something like that.
He wasn't born in wealth.
Right. Well, no, I mean his book, like now his salary is $556,000, and that's not even a millionaire. And the money he made is, as we will talk about later, is going to go entirely to charity. So a lot of these people are trying to come to the jugular for that, but there's none of that. There's nowhere they can go, because Bernie Sanders is like, I'm still willing to pay my fair share of taxes. That's the entire point, is that I'm one of those rich people, if I'm considered rich, that I will gladly pay my taxes. I will pay more if I have to, and I'm totally okay with it. The problem is these people look for ways to get tax cuts. That's the problem. It's not that they're making that amount of money as much as that they refuse to pay their fair share and give back to society. Yeah,
and you know something else, fam, too, and I think this is great. Something we should kind of dive a little bit deeper into, because once again, what you just said, it's not so much that he made the money; it's how he made the money. Mm-hmm. Writing a bestseller novel or a book is okay to make that money. You earn that in an artistic way, or speaking about your lives. But when you're drilling or you're fracking and you're manipulating the government to get the laws to make you that money, that's when the negative part comes into. And I think a lot of times we have to continue to flip this. When Sanders says, yeah, I'm a millionaire, but I'm not just raising against millionaires. I'm raising against people who tweak the government, who cheat you, the taxpayers, and they make the money themselves.
Who
it's all about
the poor.
Exactly. It's exploiting the government, exploiting the poor. Bernie Sanders never done that. And I think the fact that we are going to be staying into a capitalistic system, you know, which democratic socialism is, that we got to play that note. Listen, it's not about the fact that you made the money. It's how you made the money. And Bernie made it honestly. And yes, once again, he said again, he's willing to pay his fair share.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. I don't know if, like, I would say democratic socialism is the exact same as a social democracy, but I would say it's pretty much on par, on the level of that the rich people who exist have to pay their fair share of taxes, and that's it. And I like the point that you made with, you know, it's how he got that money. Mm-hmm. Amazon and Jeff Bezos get that money by exploiting poor workers, barely just now paying them $15 an hour, which isn't really honestly a living wage in Los Angeles. It's barely that in Los Angeles, in a city like Los Angeles. So to me, it's just that whole point again. Like, how are you doing this? You are using it to exploit other people to make you money. That's not what he did. He actually used it to inform other people, to open other people's eyes, and he's not even keeping this money.
And let's make no mistake of it. When you talk about Amazon, Jeff Bezos exploited the American worker, which he's still doing to this day. Bernie had to go out there and fight it. He exploited the Asian Chinese worker, where most of his products, are being made for slave wages, and he exploited the environment. You know, he's not a big, all his products, I guarantee you they're not green. They're not like, the plastics that are made, whatnot. So he's exploiting it, just thinking completely business mentality. And yes, he has to pay his fair share. Whereas if Bernie Sanders made that money on that book. You want to go to the next part?
Yes.
Because the follow-up, when I talk about the backfire against CNN, fam, I love this moment right here. Go ahead.
Expect your salary to go back down to 100.
Unless I write another bestseller, I don't know.
Or, who makes more than that? What does the President of the United States make?
You're right. What does he make? I don't even
400. So you saying that you're not going to win?
No, I'm not saying that.
All right. I just want to be clear.
Saying, all that I'm saying is I don't think anyone seriously believes that because I wrote a best-selling book and made money that I've changed my views, and you now hear me saying, gee, maybe we want to give tax breaks to millionaires. I don't think you've heard me say that.
One more on this, though. So you made a lot more money than you did the year before because of the book. Charitable donations, when we look at your taxes, went up, but they didn't go up proportionally. I'm not coming after you about what you gave in your donations. My question is this. Having the experience of having a lot more money and deciding what you wanted to do with it, did it give you new perspective about how people with more money feel about the government or someone like you forcing policies that demand them to give amounts as opposed to what they want to give?
As a matter of fact, if you read those tax returns, you will find that. I think people have said it. we were not aggressive. We didn't go to accountants and figure out how we can possibly pay the lowest amount in taxes. Probably paid more than we should have. But let me just say this. You raised an interesting question, Chris. I grew up in a family that was a working class family. I lived in a rent-controlled 3.5-room apartment in Brooklyn, New York. And every single day of my life, I knew what paycheck to paycheck life was about. I knew what tension was about in a family. And I will tell you the difference now. You know what? When I was a kid, my family had to worry about how they're going to pay this bill or how they're going to pay that bill. I don't have to worry about that now. That stress is off my family, and that is a great relief. And I have spent my entire life, and hopefully will conclude my political life in the White House, trying to make sure that every person in this country does not have to deal with the stress of whether they can afford to pay the electric bill, whether they're going to have health care, whether they can send their kids to childcare. So that is the difference that I've learned. You know what? It's great not to have to worry about whether your electricity or your phone bill is going to be shut off. And I want every person in this country, the wealthiest country in the history of the world, to be able to live in that kind of way.
Right there, Rick.
Yeah.
Fam, I got to point this out because I know you're going to speak more about this, about where that money's kind of going. I just love the way Jake Tapper, is it Cuomo or Tapper? I get them both mixed up.
Cuomo.
No, this is Jake Tapper, no? That was Cuomo? I get them mixed up. Whatever, they're the same person to me. But when he, I'm sorry, fam, I do, really. I'm like,
it's
is that
just hard
Cuomo
to keep track of the establishment shills.
Oh,
There's
God.
so many of them.
But I love the way Cuomo goes, I'm not coming after you about your donations. I'm just pointing it out and stuff. Oh, yes, you are. You just threw out a talking point that most Republicans are going to use. Oh, well, why doesn't he donate that money the way he used to? He kept that money, and he just throws that out ever so easily, and now they know it's going to be used against him. So that was number one. And number two, fam, I love the way he turned this into like, listen, I understand what it's like now not to pay those bills, but I did. I understand what it was like to suffer, and a lot of people are feeling that way, and he just used that whole question as a moment to say, hey, listen, regardless if I got this money or not, I know what it's like. Right. And I'm going to be there fighting for you so you don't have to worry about that. Regardless whether you sweep floors or wash cars or whatever, I got your back.
He brought it back to the people, which is what none of these candidates do. I mean, you'll listen to other candidates later, or you might have heard them already, but they're robotic. They give PR perfected answers. Bernie Sanders is talking from experience. He literally is talking about the emotional fact that and this is kind of like relies on Marxist. If you read Karl Marx, that in communism, they do talk about like just having a little bit of everything you need and a little bit of something that you might want. And all that Bernie is saying, and I'm not even saying he's, saying communist propaganda in any way, shape, or form, even though, I'm a commie.
Yeah,
but,
I know you're.
But all he is saying is that people need to have an ability to not worry about how they're going to pay for their food and have to choose whether they pay their cell phone bill or whether they pay their car or whether they pay their their insurance or whether they go out to get something to eat this weekend if they have any money left. Like, they are living paycheck to paycheck, and all he is saying is that everybody has the right to not worry about the basic things like your car, your house, your, just simple things that you should have and you shouldn't have to worry about. And that's it. It's all on a basic level of just having enough. And that's it. He's not, operating on a level of, oh, we're going to, give you everything and you're going to have luxury. Yeah. It's a whole other thing.
I think it's right. It's
specific,
human level, specific argument for a specific reason and whatnot. And I love the way that Bernie Sanders always says, it's like, listen, you are getting out there right now. There was another question they asked about his age. And he says, why do you think the young people just really relate to you and generate to you so much? And he says, because he didn't say it, but he went around the ways. And I would always say it's because they're the ones who are getting screwed, and he does this in a way where I always say, listen, I just want the same chances that you have. I want my partner and her brother to have the same chances that you had, which means that you can live a decent life with dignity and respect when you sweep floors. If you sweep floors nowadays, the chances are that you're homeless. But he always hits on that fact, and I love the fact that he's always there going with the workers. No matter what you do, you deserve a decent life. Hey, I don't care if you drive a bus. You should not have to worry about your electric bill or your gas bill or your car bill. And he always takes it back to the people, because I say this all the time, fam. his biggest block of voters are workers. Bottom line. Take it back to the economics. We're all suffering. This is where we can all join together and not let us be divided up to attack and the establishment who's putting these conditions on us and stuff. Do we have another video and stuff, I think? The second one? Because, here, fam, you want to get yourself all mad up as well? You know this is coming from CNN. Here we go.
You've said that you believe that people with felony records should be allowed to vote while in prison. Does this mean that you would support enfranchising people like the Boston Marathon bomber, a convicted terrorist and murderer? Do you think that those convicted of sexual assault should have the opportunity to vote for politicians who could have a direct impact on women's rights?
Here is my view. If somebody commits a serious crime, sexual assault, murder, they're going to be punished. They may be in jail for 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, their whole lives. That's what happens when you commit a serious crime. But I think the right to vote is inherent to our democracy. Yes, even for terrible people. Because once you start chipping away and you say, well, that guy committed a terrible crime, not going to let him vote. Or that person did that, not going to let that person vote. You're running down a slippery slope. So I believe that people who commit crimes, they pay the price. When they get out of jail, I believe they certainly should have the right to vote. But I do believe that even if they are in jail, they're paying their price to society, but that should not take away their inherent American right to participate in our democracy.
Bam. I know this to me, I don't like this one at all. I don't even know why CNN is bringing this out to light, because it's a discussion within, progressives, I think, within the liberal bubble. But when it comes to the general election, I think they're going to use this as, hey, man, these Democrats, they want even murderers to have the right to vote, and they shouldn't do that. You know what I'm saying? I think it's going to hurt us in the long run. I hate this line of
disagree.
questioning.
I think this is great, because I think it speaks to Bernie's humanitarian side. Like, it doesn't matter. You're already paying your debt to society. You made a mistake. You are repenting. You still have this right as a human being. Again, you're still a person to exercise your opinion of who should be president. And actually, because I've read a lot about how prisoners and people go to jail, they actually, when it's a type of system that rehabilitates them, they actually are able to move forward and come away from the criminal backgrounds that they have, and they are able to actually make a change. And a lot of these people get out and they are actually movers and shakers in activist communities and in societies, many of them gang members. So I absolutely think we should. And if we had the prison population, or people who have been wrongfully accused, or people who have been minutes from death row and who have been in jail in the criminal justice system, and they come out and vote, they're going to vote differently than someone who's an elitist corporatist tool of the establishment. And that is going to help progressives push the movement forward. It's going to help us actually get people like Bernie Sanders out into the White House. We should be able to maybe someday have a felon, someone like Chelsea Manning, be in the White House. Why? Because they committed a crime, yes, but the law isn't always just, and the law does not equal morality. So
I think that's a great point, too, and that makes us dive more into the discussion of criminal justice reform and whatnot, and how easily people are being jailed. And I love the way the fact the senator said it's a slippery slope when you go into that, and I agree with it. However, I'm just very much my general election antennas are like, okay, wait, this is something that the Republicans are going to use against us. And even the fact that the way they allowed CNN person to the person who asked the question, oh, you're going to let somebody like the Boston bomber vote and stuff like that?
They go to the extremes.
They set up that bear trap that I think it's going to come back to haunt us. Do I disagree with the senator's answers? No way. I love the fact he went down that and he talked about it. Because the most important part, fam, is the slippery slope. We start doing this, we start moving the goal lines. Now some kid who got busted from smoking marijuana in the street's not going to be able to vote next time.
Right.
At what point? And then a bunch of elitists, which we all agree with, a lot of us, that a lot of rules are made or laws are made just so the rich can steal from the poor. Right. They'll even furthermore hold an advantage over the poor by taking away their voice now.
Right, but I feel like they're already taking away people's voices. So this is like the time to do it, because a lot of the Republicans push these these laws that prevent you from voting, and this is also going to force the Democrats to be like, oh yeah, you want fair election integrity, okay, then it has to be all around fair election integrity from the Democratic side all the way to the Republican side. In fact, this kind of forces them to kind of walk the walk instead of just, talking the talk, because now they have to hold themselves accountable too.
Yeah, and that's something interesting. And before we get to the next one, because we still have one more, because it was my favorite answer of the night, fam, I just want to tell people over on the MCSC network, thank you for watching us on the YouTubes. But if you can go over to the Convo Couch YouTube, we have all our links listed below. Go over to our Facebook as well. Like, subscribe, share.
Follow me on Twitter, because I was having fun today with a bunch of Sally Albright bots that I'll get into later.
We have all our Twitter information down there. You got the Fiorella. She's a savage on Twitter. And I just spend a lot of time going after Adam Schiff, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer on Twitter. That's my whole thing when I get on Twitter. But we do want to raise our profiles and get more likes and shares. So if you do have time to go over to our Convo Couch YouTube and our Facebook, more than anything, we would definitely appreciate that. Now, fam, we're going to get to the next part of this and this is why I told you people out there, you don't listen to me when I tell you there. Tulsi and Bernie, they watch the Convo Couch. Bernie definitely watches it because he listened to, we had our video, it's up on our YouTubes. It says Bernie's worst moment of the last town hall. I lost my shizit. Fam over here had to correct me and said, calm down a little bit. But fam, this is the thing we both love about Bernie more than anything. He listens to his followers. Go ahead, fam.
What is one thing that you have changed your mind about recently?
Nothing. I've been consistent for... No, just kidding. I think I am paying more attention right now to foreign policy.
Thank you.
Okay, and I think I was rightfully criticized the last time I ran that I didn't pay as much attention as I might.
Is it loud?
And I think, the economic issues, whether or not people have health care, whether they have decent paying jobs, whether we deal with climate change, are enormously important. But you know what? We got to look at the United States' role in the world as well. And probably a few years ago, I would not have been as involved as I have recently been in demanding and helping in the Senate to pass a resolution to get the United States out of the Saudi-led intervention in Yemen. Something which I think, and for the first time in 45 years under the War Powers Act, it has been successfully used. We did it in the Senate, we did it in the House. Sadly, tragically, Trump vetoed it. But to answer your question, I think a little bit more about foreign policy issues than I previously did.
There you go. Fam, he watches the Convo Couch. He saw me go crazy. He watches
the network.
He does. He watches MCSC Network. He's paying attention and stuff.
Shout out to Nina Turner.
And let me tell you something. This is the thing that I've been uber critical about, and Fam has been there too as well. When it comes to Bernie Sanders, it's his foreign policy. We wanted unequivocally hands-off Venezuela. We wanted the answers like Tulsi's given and whatnot and stuff. So I am glad that he is watching and listening, because that is the number one thing he has to pay attention to. We talk about the immigration reform, fam, and you can't put the cart before the horse. Nobody's saying that we shouldn't send more judges. Nobody's saying that we shouldn't work on comprehensive immigration reform. However, if you don't fix the actual problem of why there's so much migration coming to the United States, which is our foreign policies, then we're never going to get a hold of the situation. So I am glad that the senator is paying more attention, fam.
Me too. I mean, the fact that he said I could learn more about foreign policy, I've been paying more attention to it, shows that he has an ability to adjust his positions, look back and grow as a person. And that's another thing I love about Tulsi, is because she also has admitted her shortcomings and has been able to grow. If you think someone is going to stay stagnant, like, that doesn't make a great leader. A person that flip-flops back and forth depending on where the wind blows doesn't make a great leader. But a person that sees, okay, maybe I could, learn something. You guys have taught me something. Maybe I need to listen to my supporters more. That is a person that should be the president of the United States. And that's the kind of mindset we need. Like, oh, okay, I can actually, learn something new here. And foreign policy is such a big deal. And I hope he's realizing like how everything is connected through the foreign policy, through our military industrial complex, through our support of regime change wars, and how that goes back and affects us domestically, and sees the connection. And I'm really, really proud of him. Like, I want to hug him after him saying that, because it really makes me think, like, damn, like, there you go, Bernie. Thank you Thank you for listening.
And listen, fam, too, when we had these talks too as well, and this is why I love being your partner, is that you said, Pasta, he's got to get some time to evolve. He's got to get there. There's certain reasons and stuff that he can't just come out and say certain things.
Yeah, and he can't. He can't.
And let's be honest, there's no such thing as a great candidate. We've talked about certain areas. We've talked about when it comes to Russiagate.
There's no such thing as a perfect candidate.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a perfect candidate, and we don't have it up here yet because CNN hasn't put it out. It might be out. But the worst answer for me was the Russia thing, and I still wish he would say, we have to be done with this Mueller case and move the frig on. We spent $35 million on it, and we can use that money elsewhere. But, he's evolved on this whole situation when it comes to regime change, and he's listened. And let's be honest, Bernie Sanders has always been out there ahead of it across the board. No politician, especially not one in this race, knows as much as Bernie Sanders does across the board for issue after issue after issue. Is he great on all the issues? No. Can he get better on some? Yes. He just showed me today that he can.
Exactly. He just showed you today, and he can. So along the lines, fam, of why you were upset about the Russiagate stuff, because that bothers me, and it bothers a lot of us, and we all have made it clear how much it bothers us. And I just kind of want to show you as to why he kind of has to be, in a way, strategically thinking. He's being advised to not say that much on Russiagate, to kind of toe the line a little bit on that and on Assange, which is a huge issue for me.
Yes.
One of the reasons, though, is because the Democratic establishment is determined to defeat him. Okay, they're determined to defeat him. They're determined to smear Tulsi, and they're determined to reelect Trump. That's what it seems like to me. Number one, they're trying to use Peter Buttigieg as the new hot toy as a faux progressive, a faux progressive through and through. He is all platitudes, no policy. And they're comparing him to Bernie Sanders. So in this article, I think it was by the Wall Street Journal, they compare him to Bernie by calling him a baby Bernie, when in fact that couldn't be further from the truth. And we will see that because we have these two pictures here. So when Sanders, if you guys recall, was mayor of Burlington, Vermont, and
huge difference here.
Huge difference. So on the first pick, we have Sanders earned a reputation as a pragmatic and effective mayor and presided over an impressive economic transformation of the city. If you can call a population 38,000 at the time a city, while insisting that housing remains affordable for lower income residents, he often butted heads with local developers who were overeager to convert subsidized housing into luxury condos. Over my dead body, are you going to displace 366 working families? Sanders once barked at the landlord. This is Bernie through and through. This is who he is. This is who he's always been, fighting for the underdog, fighting for the poor people, fighting with the unions. Now, Buttigieg is a little bit different, and if you want to read read most of this.
Well, it says, but Buttigieg's singular focus on gathering data and improving statistics has also led him astray at times. While South Bend's economic fortunes have improved overall, homelessness and displacement have worsened. It sounds like a baby Obama to me. Buttigieg has sold a park to prospective developers and given tax breaks to luxury condos. That is not Bernie-like. Less than a mile west of South Bend's booming downtown is African-American and Latinos residents continue to complain about police harassment and revamp evictions and a team of code enforcement inspectors who fine them every time they forget to mow their own laws. So in other words, they're harassing the poor people. They're moving them out. They're gentrifying the area. And this is supposed to be a baby Bernie? I think not, fam. And you know what? I have to go back to what you said. It's like the new toy. Every single time, it's like, let's give the progressives a new toy to play with and see if they like it. They gave us the Kamala toy. We threw it.
And we're like a cat.
They gave us the Beto toy. We ripped his head off. They gave us the Biden toy. We stomped it in the ground. And now they're like, okay, look at this Buttigieg toy, where they try to make it look like Bernie on the surface. But as soon as we squeeze it, it doesn't make a huge sound. And now we have to throw it. And fam, I got to give you props, because a lot of people out there were saying, no, Kamala's the next thing. And I think they're trying to swing some of the money. And we have to pay attention to where the establishment money is going. Kind of like in 2016, when it came to the Republicans, they gave the money to Jeb Bush. Then they gave the money to Marco Rubio. Then they gave the money to Cruz. They were so confused. They were moving it around. Right now, we're seeing a lot of money going on Buttigieg. And they're going to try to make him stick because, the other ones, they have not stuck.
It sounds like you're saying Buttigieg. It's Buttigieg.
Buttigieg
But,
across the USA.
So I have a video coming out soon that I recorded, and we're gonna release it on the network and on the CONVO Couch. Just like 7 really, really in-depth reasons why Buttigieg is not a progressive. And just to expand on what Pasta said, he was known for gentrifying the Latino and African American communities, increasing the wealth gap in these communities between the white people and the black community. He also fired the chief officer who was black for revealing racist, recording 2 of his people that he worked with saying racist things. And the chief police officer of South Bend have all since been white. He has an issue with people of color.
A real issue.
And notice how they did not ask him that in the town hall. They did not ask him that. So as far as I saw.
That's the volleyball player. You know when he sets up that volleyball so that you can come down and spike
yeah.
it? Bernie Sanders is the guy who's got to receive the spike.
Yeah.
And all the establishment does for the Buttigiegs,
and the
Kamala Harrises. It was, listen, you can go after, we have the video, you can go after Kamala Harris 27 ways till Tuesday, and yet CNN doesn't go not even near to those questions that they'll go. And literally, Cuomo said, I looked at some videos from back in the 70s and you said some shit, Bernie. That's how far they're digging to go after Bernie.
They got nothing.
But yet shit that happened last year with Kamala Harris, they'll never go near it. They'll protect her, and they'll set up questions that make her look like Bernie Sanders. Oh, now you're for Medicare for all. Oh, now you're for this. Oh, now you're for that. Oh, bullshit.
Yeah, they just talk the talk. And so that was the first reason, right? The Democrats are relying on the whatever flavor ice cream of the month to push in our faces. Now the second reason is that they've been having secret meetings. So this came out in the New York Times, it came out everywhere. And by now we know that these meetings are subjected around how to defeat Bernie Sanders. So if you were a Democrat, right, and you want to defeat Donald Trump, wouldn't your priority be to unite behind the frontrunner like they told us in 2016? You have to unite against the frontrunner. Hillary Clinton is the frontrunner. If you don't back us, Donald Trump will be president. Blah 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 blah. Completely ignoring the fact that she was a terrible candidate, that she didn't campaign right, she didn't pay attention to the working class. So all of these meetings are entirely about how to stop Bernie. So let me read this to you because this is literally what they said. It's called The Matter of What to Do About Bernie, and the larger imperative party unity has, for example, hovered over a series of previously undisclosed Democratic dinners in New York and Washington, organized by the longtime party financier Bernard Schwartz. The gatherings have included scores from the moderate or center left wing of the party, including Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Senator Chuck Schumer, the minority leader, former Governor Terry McAuliffe of Virginia, Mayor Pete Buttigieg of South Bend, himself a presidential candidate, and the president of the Center for American Progress, my favorite person in the world, Neera Tanden.
You love her, fam.
I do.
Fam, can I ask you a question? Anybody in our clan that's been saying for such a long time that the number one goal of the establishment is to defeat the progressives and then to maybe beat the Republicans if they could, how can anybody deny that right now?
You can't deny that.
I mean, you're always sitting there that we're just sitting there and we're saying that we're just that part of that clan. We're a bunch of couch dwellers who just make up this freaking narrative and whatnot. This is plain and simple. They're now having meetings, and this is Chuck the Schmuck, Nancy Pelosi. I bet you if Adam Schiff can get a place at that table, he'd go as well. All they're trying to do is how do we stop this progressive tsunami coming out of us and retain our power? Not what do we do for the greater good of our people? Not let's switch. Not let's make a move. Mm-hmm. If they had any guff, they would have been behind Bernie right now at this time. Do we have a super chat, I think you said? Is there a $5 super chat? I don't want to leave this person out. We'll get to your super chat, but if they were really sticking behind people's needs and whatnot, they would go ahead and switch already. I can't see that. Can we make that big? Because I can't see. You got a microphone? You want to take the microphone real quick and read it because we can't see it? Can you reach that? No. All right, I can't see it. It says, as soon as they say pragmatic, you know he's a tool of the what? Government and industry too.
Yeah. As soon as they use those words like pragmatic and like and another thing Buttigieg did before we move on from him, like when he was asked questions about policy, he's like, well, some people lead on policy, but we're gonna lead with our
Ideology
freedom and our ideology.
Bullshit.
He's all about the platitudes. There is nothing there. He is another form of a vanilla latte liberal kind of freaking ideology, and it's really clear as day to see when Bernie Sanders is there actually talking about policy and issues, and then even mentioning foreign policy, which literally none of them mention, and then Buttigieg comes on and he's like, yeah, freedom, yeah, justice, and like the same thing as Beto, getting on top of furniture and
when Buttigieg was asked, why don't you have any policy positions on your website, he was like, well, I'm going to take my time. We just announced a couple weeks ago, and I was even saying to Johnny, that might have been something you would have done beforehand before you announced you have your policy positions. For me, I heard it was code for, well, I'm going to see which ones act good and which don't act good as I'm out there on the campaign trail, and when something is really popular, I'll then put it on my website and then you can see what it's about. But if it's not popular, I'm going to leave it off and kind of just talk to my donors. And he did the same thing that Kamala did in a different way. Once again, when you hear the word, when they're talking about Medicare, medical, universal health care, and they use the words access, that's code to my donors that I don't stand for Medicare for all.
Yeah, it's
access.
It's
well, Buttigieg, he's good, fam. He used a different word. He goes, we want to get to the Medicare for all environment.
Yeah,
that's what this motherfucker said. Environment,
in any way, shape, or form.
Which means we'll still have insurance there.
We'll still have
so
private
my donors,
insurance.
wink, wink. We'll just get to that environment.
Yeah, they'll throw it in. Yeah,
he does.
Yeah.
He does.
No policy.
Because
Tulsi. Exactly. They're not going to put Tulsi there because Tulsi's going to call their ass out.
Yeah.
And just Buttigieg also had a terrible answer, which we caught on immigration on sanctuary cities. When they asked him a straight up question like, "Do you support sanctuary cities?" He literally just gave a whole circle of an answer.
I like to call him a friendly city or something like
some
that.
bullshit. Like I can't. He's a joke. He's a joke.
Yeah.
He's
done. Another Obama. He really
Pretty
is.
much.
He's another Obama. He's a good-looking, sweet-talking, smooth-talking, bullshit platitude guy that's not going to do shit for you. That's only going to stick it into the worker's ass if he gets in office. So beware of Buttigieg and wait for Fam's video. She's going to have, how Fam gets. She's going to get savage. So when anybody throws that name Buttigieg in there, Rob Goff, the fucking bartender down at Rocco's, we got some shit for your ass to tell you and stuff like that. Buttigieg is not your friend. He's and listen, you just dive into these people's policies. The first thing off the bat, if there's no policy on your website, you should be disqualified right off the bat mentally.
FEC
Goodbye.
filings and open secrets too. Always check those.
Oh, we're getting those in, baby. We're gonna have a show. Progressive or faux-gressive, and which one will you fall under, Mr. Peter Buttigieg?
You can go check my FEC filings and see how much money I've actually given Bernie, by the way.
Yeah. And this Intercept article that you're going to bring out, really, it has the guy that people bail from faster than shit through a tin horn. Beto O'Rourke. Like, they had him out there for 2 days, and that guy was talking one day. He was standing on the podium. I think the establishment was like, we got to get the hell away from this guy. What the hell were we thinking? This guy is not as charismatic at all.
Yeah, exactly. Not only is he not as charismatic, and he's kind of awkward and weird and fratty and just weird.
Fratty, I love
and
that.
He
fratty.
He also backtracks and backpedals, and he did so because The Intercept released an article by Lee Fang where they exposed Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, and Beto actually taking this corporate money and the super PAC money and lobbyist donations, but saying that, that they were still rejecting it. There's different ways in which they did that. We did talk about that in the last show before. Basically, they have people who aren't registered as lobbyists push this money through, but it's the same thing. Yeah. So if you look at this picture we have of Beto's, okay? So we have a donation fundraising email March 31st of 2019. Then we have one in April, and they all talk about no lobbyists, blah, blah, blah. Beto,
without the backing of PACs.
Painting him as a progressive, no
special
PACs.
interest, no lobbyist.
And then if you look at the one that was, I believe, April 19th or
right
something
after the
around.
FCC came out.
Right after the Intercept article. It said, Beto for America. We're 100% funded by the people, not a dime from PACs, corporations, or special interests. We will never be corrupted by the influence of big money. But they did not put the word lobbyist.
The word lobbyist out, fam.
So that just tells you right off the bat, like, he is shifting his position, because now it's pretty clear that he is taking lobbyist money. And so Democrats, if you think we're stupid, if you think like progressives aren't paying attention to literally everything, you're wrong. And
Especially the money, fam.
The money is what
We're
we
gonna
look
follow
at
the
the
money.
most.
Yes.
Like, that's the number one thing
Who's
we look at.
paying you?
How and then not only that, that's the second strike. He did the whole fossil fuel pledge where he wasn't going to take any fossil fuel money, and he didn't just take a little bit from individual people. He took large sums of money.
Yeah, he's
from
littered
them.
with APAC
So,
money too, as well.
That's APAC.
Littered with APAC money and whatnot.
Number
this guy's
one
got
in
more
Congress, I
benefactors.
think.
Yeah, I think he's second. He's the number one
Or maybe-
Democrat. He's behind
Number
Ted
one,
Cruz,
Democrat.
taking money from that Christian group within APAC. Because once again, APAC is not, it's not about like religion. It's more about an ideology and money and economics and stuff, and they should be separated as so. It's like Zionism. It's not a religion. Zionism is a political ideology, whatnot. Taking money, whether they be Christians or Jewish people, you're still taking money from
Right.
lobbyists.
It's about the lobbyists. It's not
Lobbyists,
about
so.
whether they're Jewish or not.
Can we talk about Bernie's taxes? We haven't turned up. We'll talk about
Oh, yeah. We've never talked about
But
Bernie's
his taxes, fam.
But his taxes. Okay, so today, this one girl, apparently known
Brit?
for, I don't know who she is, but she's known for smearing Bernie.
She's that girl from Ohio.
She went
Brit.
She went on Twitter and said Bernie spent $444,000 of campaign dollars on his own books in 2015. That's just not true. And you know who like retweeted that?
Who?
Sally Albright retweeted it.
No, she did not.
Yeah, she did.
Sally again?
Sally retweeted it, and why is it not showing up?
Let me
over
think.
here?
Let me reconnect and what's
Okay.
not.
Well,
It's
I-
up there
let's see,
ahead
I'll
of you.
read
She
it.
called it right ahead of you.
Yeah, I'll read it right now from here. Let me see if I can.
I can read it from right there ahead of us.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
call it Bernie ran the exact same scam that lost Jim Wright his speakership and cost Newt Gingrich $400,000 in fines, but from campaign donations, not from lobbyists. And sadly, it's legal, unethical as fuck, but legal.
Oh, you're reading it in the perfect voice that she has.
Well,
right
that's
there.
Sally Albright. She sounds like that. don't
You're
she?
right. So basically, there and then her bots came after me, and then they were like, Bernie Sanders is a pyramid scheme. Also, he and Trump are a perfect example of the horseshoe theory. The extreme fringes overlap. Okay, so I want to talk about the horseshoe theory because there's been a lot of progressives and like Facebook grifters and idiots like trying to say that the horseshoe theory is a thing. Let me explain what the horseshoe theory is. It is essentially a theory that says that in a system where you have ideologies, you have the right wing fascists and then you have the left wing communist socialists, that eventually the leftists are so crazy and they get so crazy that it makes a horseshoe and they end up in the same belief system as the right-wingers, which is entirely false. It's been entirely dismissed by literally every actual intelligent intellectual out there, and it is used by centrists against progressives and the left to prevent us from actually achieving progress. Because what they're doing now is they're equating Bernie Sanders to Donald Trump, and they're equating, which is what Buttigieg actually did.
Yeah,
he literally did, and we have the video of him saying that. And when they do this, then they can dismiss us as, oh, you're just like Trumpers, which is like their next say. Oh, you're just like Trump supporters. You guys are doing that just like them. The horseshoe theory is literally a tool used to promote centrism, to continue the status quo, and it is absolutely not true. There is no way in hell you're going to tell me that someone like Bernie Sanders, someone like us, is going to go all of a sudden and join the right-wing fascism. We might have in common that we dislike the centrist Democrats, but that doesn't mean that we are advocating the same thing. We are advocating humanity, preaching love. We are advocating coming together and having this collectivist viewpoint. They are advocating division. You and I are separate. I'm going to get mine, you get yours, and that's it. They're advocating a completely different thing. So no, horseshoe theory also eliminates the centrist from any kind of responsibility. Like it says, oh, like these people were too far left, so they went to the right. No, you guys didn't take care of these people, which is why the walk away movement started, and the Republicans got a lot of people who were angry.
Well, the walk away movement did start because of that, and a lot of reasons it did start was the identity politics behind it, because a lot of people in the walk away movement said, like, they just don't have these identity politics over here. They're not going to attack you for being who you are. But also, too, fam, we have the receipts. We get to the math. And when people also try to make this comparison that, oh, you know, these Bernie followers are just like the Trump followers, and both Ro Khanna and Nate Turner both called out Buttigieg. I'm glad they did that. It's just so false, because here's the receipts. Here's the numbers. When Barack Obama beat Hillary Clinton and he ran against Jonathan McCain, 25% of Hillary supporters went and voted for John McCain. Okay, when you go 8 years later, and you talk about Bernie supporters who voted for Hillary Clinton, it's now 12%. They cut that number in half.
Yeah.
Okay? So only 12% of the people who were supporting Bernie Sanders went and voted for Trump. That number is cut down in half because progressives understand what's going on. Progressives understand the issues, whatnot. So it is false when they try to make these comparisons that Bernie supporters or Bernie bros or Bernie people are fringe supporters that should be compared to Donald Trump. No. The only way, and even Donald Trump and his cabinet try to use that to bait people over and like, oh, Bernie Sanders is a lot like Donald Trump. They're both populists. So when Bernie Sanders gets screwed, you should come over to us. We welcome you with open arms. We were like, there was a famous meme. I loved it, fam. It just showed a grassy knoll with a tree and nothing in the background, and it said, oh, here are all the Bernie Sanders supporters who voted for Donald Trump after Bernie Sanders fell out of the race. It's just not true.
It's very, very
It's
few.
very, very false.
Very few.
And fam, you also had something from this man Jay over here.
Yeah,
what
so
he says.
Jay on Twitter,
He's another savage.
he is a savage, and he said candidates make zero profit from promoting their own books on their campaign page. All royalties go to charity. Next time, maybe consider doing the most minimal amount of research before making an ass out of yourself.
Ass with dollars on it, too, as well.
And I said, so just to sum it up, this is why Bernie Sanders did nothing wrong. Like, they're going to use this, and they're going to try to continue promoting this. So I called her a defective neoliberal bot. I said she's trying to smear Bernie, saying he money laundered and used his campaign money to buy his own books, which is false. Here's why she's lying. Campaigns sell their candidates' books as merchandise all the time, and they must purchase it from a publishing company. So in order for Bernie to have that, they needed to buy it from the publishing company. And the FEC laws, which they clearly don't understand, require all the royalties to be donated to charity. And in that book, in 2015, that's what they were looking at. He made a $0 profit. So thanks for coming
to my TED Talk. We love the TED Talk and whatnot.
So yeah, I mean, I'm just like, I'm just kind of pretty much surmising that whole point. It's like they are going to do everything they can. And then she replied, oh, what am I lying about? It's all documented. He's only the front runner because he has name recognition. That doesn't even make sense.
And there's no chance he can beat Trump.
Fuck your unity. These are the people, again, I'm going to stress that are actually
Sally Albright
in the way of progress. They are actually a bigger threat. A bigger freaking threat to progress and progressives and what we want than the Republicans. They are literally the ones who are standing in our way, because we can beat Donald Trump. We can. But they are actually making it impossible for us to do
And
that.
I think a lot of this, when the election ended and Donald Trump became president, a lot of people said on the left, well, we have to find a way to unite with our people in the center and whatnot,
right.
Those Hillary Clinton. No, you know what? I've totally gone away from that. I'm totally done with them. These people are the biggest, fam, and I'm a believer now. You've gotten me there. And you know me, I was once to say, hey, let's look at De Leon. And then I started looking at Kevin De Leon, and I was like, wait a second. These establishment Democrats haven't changed. They're, like guys like Jimmy Gomez. They're not going to debate their progressive opponents. And now the DCCC says they're going to even punish vendors and blacklist them if they go out and support somebody who's running against an incumbent. And they're going to, they were doing this behind closed doors, but now they even made it official. So the Democratic Party is still moving further to the right. People like Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, they are a hindrance to our progressive movement, and they just are going to only get in the way. And the fact that Buttigieg said that a lot of supporters you either get like Trump or Bernie Sanders. It's disgusting because they're playing the same game and trying to say that we're just radicals. Of sorts.
Exactly. And here's the video of Peter Buttigieg saying that Bernie supporters and Trump supporters are the same, even though he said he was inspired by Bernie.
Yeah. Baby Bernie, right?
It just kind of turns you against the system in general. And then you're more likely to want to vote to blow up the system, which could lead you to somebody like Bernie, and it could lead you to somebody like Trump. I think that's how we got where we are. But I think the sense of anger and disaffection that comes from seeing that the numbers are fine, like unemployment's low, like all that, like you said, GDP is growing, and yet a lot of neighborhoods and families are living like this recovery never even happened. They're stuck.
Alrighty.
I'm sorry, we'll get over here. My bad.
The problem with that is, again, he's kind of promoting the horseshoe theory without saying the word, because he's saying, and he's right that yes, there is equal in general. There are people who are unhappy, and there is equal kind of an insecurity right now with people economic wise, right? That's entirely true. But what he's saying is that he's equating the Bernie with Trump, and we need to stop doing that. I mean, yes, there are two solutions to a bigger problem. Trump is obviously a terrible solution. He's not really a solution at all. Then there's Bernie Sanders, who actually wants to attack policy. You have to differentiate between one being the actual way to progress, and then the other being like the way not to go. He's trying to like lull people back into, well, we can't go on either extreme, so we have to take the centrist route because that's the way to go. And
that's the more practical way.
And by equating Trump with burners, that's how they dismiss us. That's how they call us Trumpers. That's how the mainstream media can just continue pushing and trying to destroy Bernie. And that's why Bernie Sanders has to toe a very careful line when it comes to Russiagate, because they are, I'm telling you, I was on Twitter today, and I've just started recently using Twitter, and the way they speak about Bernie is they all constantly say he's Trump. They all say that he is Republican light. Yeah. They say that he is Putin's puppet, that he's Russiagate, even though Bernie has continuously said, we need to look at the Mueller report, blah, blah, blah. They are still saying that. Yeah. And imagine him going up and standing up for Assange. Like, I want him to do that so bad, but I understand why pragmatically right now in the primary, he hasn't done that vocally. And I understand that because I know that in his belief and how he's being advised, the moment he does that, they're just going to go like, you're anti-American, you're a Russian stooge, you don't care about betrayal. It's not just going to be the Republicans saying that. It's going to be the centrists. And the centrists are going to pick up on that, and he's trying to avoid that. So that's, do I agree with it? No. Do I think actually he's losing independent support and Republican support by not standing up to that? I do think that. But I also think that this is exactly why he's doing it.
It's muddy waters.
And I believe where he stands is actually further to the left than what he's saying on these issues.
I think that's a great way to end the show, fam. I think that you hit it on all the notes. I just want to send some love.
Just one more thing though. We had a Tulsi thing. We had a Tulsi thing.
You have the Tulsi tweet and the
Nina tweet.
Nina says about Buttigieg too. as well.
Nina said Bernie Sanders supporters are not the same as Trump fans. Senator Bernie Sanders supporters are Democratic and independent voters, many of whom are people of color. So Nina went out there defending people.
Ro Khanna had a tweet too as well. He said the same thing. He said, "Come on." And everything like that. But getting to the Tulsi Gabbard one now, because this is important whatnot, because Tulsi is one who does speak out there for what's going on, because we talked about this all the time. And it's evident in this tweet over here with the bar cover-up hashtag. The most dangerous cover-up is that the U.S. voting machines are vulnerable to all hackers now. And, fam, this is something we want to talk about. If the people are so concerned about Russian collusion, if we lose faith in the election results, democracy crumbles. The Justice Department should be focused on instituting paper ballot backups per my Securing America's Elections Act. And a lot of people have been talking about this on the road. We talked about this too as well in this studio right here where I'm sitting, is where Tulsi sat when you asked her questions about, ranked choice voting and whatnot. If there was a really serious corruption going on a really serious scandal with the Russians, we should be securing our elections through and through. Really, to tell you the truth, but we know it was just a false narrative for people to be concentrated on, and they're still using this to attack. And I said this about Bernie when it came to the thing. I wish he would just say, enough. We should stop wasting money. We wasted all this money, kind of what Tulsi said, and let's get on to securing the elections for the future. You're worried about our elections being hacked and messed with? Let's secure them right now.
And actually, Bernie, if you see the shift in his rhetoric before he was running for president, he was a little bit more like, okay, we need to move on with this Russia stuff. But because he's being largely criticized against that, he's trying to be more pragmatic. And I don't even want to say pragmatic because that's such a negative connotation, but more of a just kind of less kind of a balanced approach, I would say. A balanced approach in how he refers to the foreign policy, even though by him saying, oh, I'm going to listen to more foreign policy, then he's letting you guys know, he's letting us know, he's listening.
Yeah. He didn't say that he was for impeachment. He didn't take the bait on it.
And he also said Maduro was not a dictator.
Yeah.
Which of course, by him saying that, believe me, donut Twitter, you see, he supports a dictator. Da da da. This is why he does what he does, and unfortunately, he's what is it, between a rock and a wall? He can't do anything else, and we need him to win. We need him to win, and so
this is why we also need FAM. I want to really talk about this too. FAM is going to be doing some Latino videos explaining it to because I think that's the bait when they say, oh, Maduro is a dictator. I think a lot of times when Debbie Wasserman Schultz or Andrew Schilling were talking that language, is they were talking to older Latin voters within Florida who come from that Cuban kind of place where any type of socialism or communism is immediately looked down upon, and they're going to go vote for the Republican and stuff like that. But that's why FAM has also got a little project ahead of her. And I went to the Cubans for Bernie rally years ago. It's when I met Tim Canova, where the younger generation is trying to explain. It's no, this is about protecting the workers, whatnot. But when they do use those moments when we say, hey, Jimmy Carter's assessment from his group said that the elections were fair, why are you talking so much shit on Maduro? It's because he's talking to that kind of narrative where he's starting to get away from it. He's starting to peel away from it and say, oh, Maduro's not a dictator and stuff like that. But at the same time, he's not going full frontal and saying, hey, well, he's the greatest guy on the face of the earth. And we do want him to say, hey, we want to talk to our adversaries and our enemies like Assad, like Maduro. I would love it for Bernie to go over and talk to Maduro.
And that's what Tulsi's good at, which is why I'm so glad she's going to be on the debate stage, because you know what? She has more of an ability and leeway to be able to discuss foreign relations. And not only does she have the capacity to do it, she's actually extremely well-versed. To me, one of the most, if not the most, well-versed when it comes to foreign policy and foreign relations, because she goes and talks what Bernie does domestically. He goes and talks to the other side. She does internationally. And that is something that is very rare, and it is very rare for a veteran who's served and who still continues to serve to be so anti-war and anti-regime change and anti-imperialism and understand the connections that come into our domestic policy with that. And I think her and Bernie would make a great team, and that's why I'm rooting for her as well. I think she has such a great shot. I think she will be president someday. I think she absolutely will be in the White House someday. So,
is that a good way to end up? You have any more on that? Because I want to send some shout outs real quick.
No, go ahead.
So let me send I want to once again show all my love to people on the MCSC network. Please go over to our CONVO Couch YouTube and like us over there too as well.
Subscribe.
All the whole 9 yards. What's that? Yeah, there was a lot of people there today, and thank you for hanging in there with us. But I'm going to talk about the CONVO Couch YouTube today that had 25 people watching at a time, and that's great for us. And I want to say thank you to Carrie Mark watching the whole time, Mike S., Jose Outdish True, it sounds like. I don't know if I said it right and stuff. D, Wonder Woman, Deep Moody Purple Blues, we love you. Roro Zorro, whatever the hell you came up with that name, we love you too as well. And also Zach Prudian, who was watching it as well. On our Facebook.
That libertarian.
Jason Small, thank you for hanging on in. Matthew Kim, Ben Joshua. Who else was here today? A couple. Carl Hines. Always love our Carl Hines.
Can't wait to go to the show.
Gilbert Flores, Gabriel Picasio.
Gilbert.
And also Paul Diet. We have all those people. We love you. And thank you for your super chat contribution today from all those people who did join in. For Pasta Jardula, from the CONVO Couch.
And Fiorella, Convo out. Good night, guys.
Watch for us this week. We got a lot of things to talk about. Like, share, and subscribe. Joe Biden. We didn't talk about his connections to the Ukraine. We have some other things
bad.
we want to talk about. We have
The
lot
Ukrainian
of things.
comedian winning.
Yes.
You guys.
And
come on.
peace, love to all the people who suffered all the attacks in Sri Lanka. We are with you. We are loving you. Good luck.
Good night.